So I was recently rewatching the Suicide Squad when I came across this great scene where Harley Quinn, after making sweet, violently passionate love to her new boyfriend, who had just proposed to her by the way, shoots him point blank in the chest simply because he was so cavalier about his plans to slaughter children. Now, this is a particularly phenomenal scene because it does what other cinematic iterations of the character fail to do. It actually gives Harley Quinn a sense of agency and psychological progression within her narrative. For context, her new boyfriend is a dictator and the sole ruler of a sovereign nation who intends to use an alien face-sucking monster to torture the wives and children of anyone who dares to stand against him. Upon hearing this, she shoots him in cold blood because he reminded her of her ex-boyfriend who did very violent things to her and other people. We're going to analyze this scene in great detail, but first, we need to understand why it's so significant. Initially, I thought it was just payoff for all the things that were set up in Suicide Squad 2016 and Birds of Prey. But the way she talks about this her abusive ex-boyfriend that refuses to let her go peacefully doesn't at all coincide with the way her relationship with Joker was portrayed in those movies. You see, in Suicide Squad 2016, Harley Quinn starts out as a clinical psychologist assigned to treat Joker's mental illness in Arkham Asylum. But she ends up falling in love with him because she's fucking crazy and she's got daddy issues.
When I was a kid, my dad traded me for a 6-pack of beer. But however many times he tried to ditch me, I kept coming back.
She then begs Joker to date her even though he wants nothing to do with her. They go on several city-wide crime sprees. He ends up abandoning her when Batman catches up with them. She goes to prison for all his crimes. Then at the start of Birds of Prey, he breaks up with her. But even after all that, she's still so obsessed with Joker that even her friends know that she would instantly go back to him if he ever came calling.
He is going to be running right back into his arms the minute he snaps his fingers.
If not him, the next closest alpha male with a pulse.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't look to me like the type of character that would go on to say this in her next cinematic appearance.
When your taste in men is as bad as mine, they don't just go away quietly. Recently, I made a promise to myself that the next time I got a boyfriend, I'd be on the lookout for red flags. And if I saw any, I would do the healthy thing. And I would murder him.
It just doesn't make any sense. You don't go from being a broken person that's obsessed with a guy that doesn't want you to being this independent individual who has healthy boundaries because she had bad experiences with her ex-clingy... What? Because she had bad experiences with her crazy clingy ex-boyfriend that was obsessed with her. So, as you can clearly see, it's either I'm going fucking crazy or this is a blatant continuity error. After reaching this impasse, I then decided to do some research, and by that I mean I watched like 1 or 2 10-minute videos on YouTube. So shout out to those guys because they helped me realize that this scene is actually a homage to the character we know from Batman the Animated Series and not a continuation of the way she was characterized in previous movies. You see, the character of Harley Quinn debuted in the hit animated kids TV show Batman the Animated Series, where she had a toxic relationship with the Joker who constantly abused her both physically and mentally. He would regularly beat her out of anger, throw her off of tables, kick her out on the streets, kick her in the face, threaten to kick her off of skyscrapers, and this one time she was hospitalized and almost paralyzed because he kicked her out of a 12-story window because she almost killed Batman, who we all know is the one person Joker actually loves the most. He constantly yells at and insults her, partially because she can be a bit overbearing sometimes, but mostly due to the fact that he doesn't like being emotionally attached to her, and at a certain point he tried launching her in a rocket rigged with explosives just to get rid of her. Look, the list goes on and on. The point is, she got really fucking abused. So let's get back to the scene. It starts out with her explaining that the next time she saw a red flag in her boyfriend, she would do the healthy thing and murder him. Which obviously is an insane conclusion to come to, but she takes that into account and even yells at herself the way any sane person would when they find out that she killed her boyfriend because he had a few red flags.
I know what you're trying to say. Harley, why not just leave?
To which she gives a paradoxically emotional but rational response.
I know what you're trying to say. Harley, why not just leave? And I'd say, why are you screaming at me? I'm not deaf, I'm standing right here.
Calling back to the fact that Joker used to yell at her all the time while also revealing that she's not as crazy as we think she is, by going on to say that her taste in men is so bad that the only way to get rid of them is to kill them because
they don't just go away quietly. They slash your tires and they kill your dogs and tell you that the music you like ain't real music at all.
Again, referencing all the years of abuse and toxicity that she suffered under Joker's tyranny and proclaiming how she's never going to put herself through any of that ever again. So if she has to kill every toxic person that comes into her life in order to protect her mental health, then that's just what she's going to do. Obviously, this is an insanely unhealthy trauma response that she's developed as a sort of emotional defense mechanism in an attempt to maintain her sanity. But It's definitely better than the way she was before, hopelessly chasing after some guy that kept abandoning and abusing her over the course of their relationship. Even though this scene is an extension of her portrayal in the animated series, it also serves as an amendment to the way she was poorly characterized in the movies, essentially killing two birds with one stone. Anyway, subscribe to my Patreon for Weko's Echo. That's my Patreon exclusive weekly podcast where I review movies, answer your questions, and react to Reddit stories. Whew. Well, this was fun. Subscribe to the Patreon, link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next analysis.
I can't believe this thing had a bullet.